Okay, so today we're gonna try to recreate that iconic office of love from Blade Runner 2049. And if you're not familiar, I have a clip here to show exactly what it is. As you can see, I'm gonna pause it real quick. This scene, I actually recently just saw this movie this year, but when I saw this office, this scene, the setting really intrigued me and I really found it interesting. Not that I'd like to have an office like this someday. I actually think the design is not conducive for work, but nonetheless, it is very cinematic and intriguing to me. And I've always wondered how would I recreate this scene if I want to in Twinmotion and Revit. So today we're gonna try to do that, and it just so happens that Twinmotion 2025.1 has this interesting new feature called projector lights. So as you can imagine, the main feature of this room, which is the water reflections on the walls and on the floor, we're gonna cheat and use projector lights in Twinmotion to recreate these elements. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive into it. Before we dive into Twinmotion, let's review the Revit model first. Again, you can download the training files in the description of this video. So I suggest you just download this Revit file. There's nothing too special about it. So basically, these are walls, you have a floor. These are just wall reveals, vertical and horizontal wall reveals all around the room. And this one is a model in place component. And the table as well is a model in place component. So you notice I didn't even put in the furniture. So we'll put those furniture inside Twinmotion. Again, we're going to use the technique we learned in our previous video, which is we're going to import a model from SketchUp. And then we're going to use that to populate our scene. So again, if we refer to our inspiration image, we'll see that the walls, the floors, and even the ceiling, I think, is using the same material. So that makes our life very easy modeling wise. We don't need to assign different materials to these different elements. So with that, we can actually go into Twinmotion. Okay, so here in Twinmotion, let's first delete the starting base, starting landscape, and starting ground. So we don't need these things. And then let's try to capture the ambience of the scene first. As you can see, it's very dark, or the sky is very yellow or orange. So let's try to find an HDRI that matches that mood for the scene. So let's click on ambience on the scene graph, activate the HDRI sky, and then on the library on the left side, let's look for a HDRI sky that's maybe here under low sun and overcast. Yes, something like this, overcast 17. This one looks dark, looks moody, looks orange, so it's perfect for our case. And then to import our Revit model, we go to the Import tab, click on the plus icon, make sure it recognizes the correct file, and then make sure the collapse is set to Keep Hierarchy, and then click Import. So if it doesn't show up right away in your Revit in your scene, just go back to your Revit model. On the Datasmith tab, click Synchronize, and that should make your model appear. Okay, so now let's go inside. let's try to set up the camera first for the scene. I know we're creating a video today, but I still like to create an image first before we proceed to creating the video. So under the media tab, actually before we even create the video, let's do one thing. Because today we're not going to use path tracing to create the video. We're going to use Lumen because exporting a path traced video is really crazy. It will take forever. Whereas the Lumen rendering style is very reasonable. It will not take too long. So to do that, again, just go to the render tab. Under real time, let's choose Lumen. Just click on Lumen. So right away, the scene becomes very dark because we don't have enough light sources yet. So before we proceed, let's just change a few settings here. Let's change the scene detail to 5, the quality of the lumen reflections to 5 as well, and bounce count to 5 as well. Okay, and then we're still in the ambience. That means we're adjusting the overall project ambience. So let's go back to the environment tab and change the intensity of the sky to, let's try 5 or 10 first. Or maybe 5. Let's stick with 10 first. Okay, I think this gives us enough light to work with. Now we're gonna try to create the image first. So under the media tab, click on the plus icon. And since this scene is actually a movie scene, the aspect ratio is very wide. So let's try to capture that as well in our image. So click on the image, and then on the image tab here in the properties, let's change the width to 5000 and the height to 2000. Okay, I think this captures the wide angle camera very well. Okay, it could be something like this. So it shows part of the wall or the hallway before it enters the actual room or the actual office. Okay, so we can click on the refresh icon just to make sure it captures that change that we just made. And actually, if you want your camera to be perfectly aligned to this wall, under here on the camera, under the lens category, expand details, we have this option, align camera. So if you click that and click a face, like the face where you want your camera to be perpendicular to, for example, I want it to be perfectly perpendicular to this wall, I can click on that wall and that will make my camera straight. And then another thing, we can turn on parallelism to make sure all the vertical lines are straight going up also. So let's just refresh to make sure the change is captured in our image. And then next is we're gonna maybe tweak the materials a little first. Okay, so to fix the materials, maybe let's start with the walls first. So I'll quit out of the media mode first so I can see the entire scene. And then this time we're gonna use a Megascans material. So go to Megascans, Surfaces, under Stone, there's Stone, then there's Limestone. Look for this one, Norvange Limestone. Actually, any of this could work because, again, the scene looks like, yeah, it looks like limestone to me. So I'm gonna use this one, Norvange Limestone. And then I'm just gonna drag and drop it onto the wall. I'm gonna change the UV to world space. And I think I'm gonna try to make it a bit bigger. Let's try 4. Yeah, something like this. 4. And then I'm just gonna apply the same material to the floor and to the ceiling. So I'm just gonna drag and drop to the floor and to the ceiling, like so. Okay, so yeah, the walls, floors look good. Then let's just enhance the materials that came in from Revit here. So I'm gonna pick on this material first. It's our tabletop. I'm just gonna change this to something more black, and I'm gonna give it a roughness of 30%. Then this one is the same material as the wall, so that's no problem. This leg is MT02, so it should be metallic. So I'll make the roughness 20% and the metallicness 100%. Okay, so that, I think that settles the materials. There's nothing much else to change. Next is we can add the lights, or we can add actually just one light, the spotlight coming in from this skylight. So I'm gonna go to library, lights, and I'm just gonna use this one, spotlight. I'm just gonna drag and drop it first onto the ceiling, then I'll just eventually move it to the center of the opening here, like this. Then maybe I can bring it up a little. So yeah, so it spreads its light a little more. But the intensity, I think I'll bring down to around 50. And then the color temperature, because I want it to be orange or warmer, maybe 3500, like this. Make sure to also turn on the shadows for the lights so that it casts shadows when it hits a solid surface. Then let's check how it's looking so far in our image. Okay, I think I'll make it a little more darker, around 30 or even 20. Then we can adjust it later on if we need to. Okay, that settles our light. Next is we're gonna put in some of the furniture. To add the furniture, first I'm gonna quit out of this media mode. Then let's start on this lounge chairs that are supposed to be here. So if you watch the previous video I made, or you can just follow along. You go to import, click the plus icon, then this time we're gonna import a geometry, not a direct link. Then just navigate to the folder under exercise 3 models. Then let's start with this one, lounge chair. So this time I want to collapse all, then click import. So it will place it somewhere there because that's the 0, origin of drawing. But again, if you're lost, you can just always click it here on the scene graph and press F, so it focuses to that particular object. So let's move this object into our scene. So if you click on the object on the scene graph and move your camera to here, if you press shift and click with your left mouse button, it will place whatever you've selected here on the scene graph to where you click on the viewport. So again, the shortcut is shift and left mouse click. Okay, so let's try to rotate this a little, 45 degrees maybe. Put it here. Then let's fix the material of this object. So does it look like it's plastic or leather? Maybe let's try a plastic material for this chair. So under materials, go to plastic. Then let's try this rough plastic and drag and drop it onto the seat. But of course the material should be white, or my white is 244, 244, 244. so it shouldn't be perfectly white. And then this seat leg or the chair leg, you can just make it chrome, and then just drag and drop it onto that leg. And this base, I'll just make it more black, and the roughness I can just keep at 100. So this one is okay. Now I can copy it here. I'm pressing shift and I'm dragging in the green axis. So just drag it to here and make sure it's an instance and click OK. Then we can just rotate it 135 degrees or 90 degrees. 90 degrees, yeah. Okay. So that's looking good. Let's add a coffee table as well. Same method, we just import. And I'm not sure if this is, let's try this one. And then collapse all also. So again, it will place that model at the same origin spot. So just click on it on the scene graph and then shift click here on our scene. Okay, that is a little too big. So we'll just scale this entire thing. To scale, we have this icon here on the top of our screen. This is the scale tool. So here, if I hover over the center of the scale gizmo, we can scale uniformly. If I type 0.5 and press enter, that will scale the whole thing uniformly. Okay, so I think 0.5 is okay. Then I can switch it back to the move tool to move it around a little. Then let's change the material also for this one. For this one, I think I'll use a Megascans material again. Surfaces. I still want a stone material. Maybe granite. Or something like a black stone material. Let me try to find I think granite will do. Let's just use this one. This one will be a Latea granite tiles. Let's try to drag and drop it onto the table. Change the UV to world space. Oh, okay, that's ugly because it's showing the tiling. I don't want that. Let's try this one. Nero Assoluto granite. Let's hope this looks good. Okay, this one's okay, it's just black. Okay, I guess this will work. And then finally the office chair or the task chair behind this desk. So again, let's go to the import tab, click the plus icon, geometry, open, and choose this one, Cascara. And then collapse all. Then again, select it on the scene graph, then shift left click to where you want to put it. Then just rotate it. Okay. I'm just gonna place it somewhere in the middle, but I don't want it to be facing straight on, so I'll just give it a bit of an angle. Then this one I want to change to a white leather material, so we're going to the Twinmotion library, materials. Then there's a section here for leather. Then should I choose this one? I'm gonna choose the first one, full green 01. Just gonna drag it onto that to that seat, and just make sure to change it to world space. Okay. Then this shell, I'll just change to a wood material. Search for olive. Then this olive 02. Then just change it to world space also. The legs I'm not too worried about because we're not gonna see it too much in our scene, but If you're nitpicky, you can always change it to chrome as well. And this one, rough black plastic, so we can just change it to roughness of around 50%. Okay, so this is good enough. Let's go back to our scene. This is almost complete. We just need to add a few more decorations on the table. Okay, let's go here first. I'm just gonna go to Objects, Home, Kitchen, Accessories. Then there's this wine set here. I'm just gonna use this one. Place it on the coffee table. Then here in the desk, I want to use something from the living room, electronic appliances. Then let's use this one, tablet. So, because this looks like a very modern scene, so I'm just gonna use like modern appliances or decors. So, under living room decorations, we have, here's that thing, this one, Newton Cradle. I'm gonna put it here on the right side, and this art glass on the left side. Let me just check our scene again. Okay, and then finally under living room plants, let's use this one, bamboo, and then rotate it 90 degrees here. It's a bit too big, so I'm gonna scale it again to 0.5, and I'm just gonna copy it to the other side, holding my shift key so that I can copy it as an instance. Okay, I'm gonna place it somewhere in the center. Okay, so the scene is almost complete. Next is we'll try to add the projector lights. Okay, now it's time to add the star of the show, the main feature of this scene, which is the water caustics on the walls and on the floors. So again, like I said, we're going to use a projector light for this particular effect. So let's quit out of the media mode first. Then under library lights, you'll see it right away here, projector light. Then just drag and drop it here around the center of the room first. Then we're just going to bring it up a little. Okay, like this. Maybe a bit more up. Okay, somewhere here. Then right away, we're gonna change the image or the video that's being projected. So I've already created that material for us to use. So if you click open under the training files under materials, water 3, you'll see this MP4 file. So it's a video file. And it's actually just white, or it's black and white. But we can always add some color here in Twinmotion. So under color, you can change it to this yellow, 255-221-104, or you can experiment to or use whatever color you want. So I'd like to capture the original look as much as I can. And then let's just try to play around with the dimensions of the projection. But before I do that, let's turn on shadows first, so that anytime it hits a solid surface, it's not gonna project that image anymore. So it's gonna be blocked. Okay, so the shadows are on. Let's try to change the cone angle to around 120, maybe even more, 150. Okay, yeah, this is more like it. It's reaching the sides of the walls and it's casting that diagonal line or diagonal profile onto the side of the wall. Okay, but I also want to see that coming here on the back wall. But in order to do that, let's just copy it So I'm just gonna drag this projector light a little to the going up, but I'm holding the shift key so that it copies. Then I just want it to be an instance, and then I'm gonna rotate it 90 degrees. So hover over this blue arc and type 90 and press enter. So that changes the orientation of the light. Now it's going north-south. Okay, so let's go back to the image to see the effect. Okay, so the lights are actually looking okay, but the scene seems a little bit dark still. Maybe let's try to, and it's not too orange enough for me. So let's go back to the image and press camera. Under white balance, let's change it to 7500, or maybe even 8000. Let's see. Okay, I think 8000 is okay. Then the exposure, I'm just gonna try to change to 1.2, just to make it a little bit brighter. But already this scene is looking okay. And then let's just add a bit of sharpness, around 20%, or maybe just 10%. And then under effects, let's add a bit of contrast, 55%. Okay, that's makes it even more moody. Saturation, I think I'll just keep to 50%. Let's try to increase the exposure just a bit more, 1.4. Okay, I think this is looking good. One last thing, because the water is coming from the upper side, I should actually see some caustics here on this face of the wall also. So if you refer to the image or the inspiration image again, we should be able to see some caustics on this face, which we don't have yet right now. So again, I'm just gonna cheat. I'm just gonna create another instance of the projector light. I'm just gonna move it here. Then I'm creating, I think I'll use a copy this time, because I may want to change the properties of this light independently from the other two. But let's see first. So I'm just rotating this video, going so that it's facing this face. Then I'm just gonna drag it up so that it doesn't affect the inside of the room. Okay, so maybe this one I'll change the cone angle to 100. Maybe rotate it this way, 90 degrees. Then make it go down. Then okay, so yeah, so I just wanted to cast a little bit of light onto this face, but I don't want it to affect the inside of the room, so I think this is fine. This looks more or less okay. Okay, so it's not affecting the inside, but it's casting the caustic effect on the face of the wall. Alright, that's perfect. So with this, we can then proceed to create the video, because the image is more or less settled. Next step is we'll try to create the video sequence. To create a video here in Twinmotion, it's fairly simple enough. So we're here in the media tab, and before we've only been working with images, which is the first icon here. To make a video, just click on this icon, the next one, then click on the plus icon. So here, we're just gonna create a few keyframes, actually just two, a starting keyframe and the end keyframe. Then Twinmotion will interpolate between those two keyframes to create the video sequence. So if I want the video to end here, actually I want it to end a bit more zoomed in, but I want it to start a bit more zoomed out. So I'm just gonna press on my S key in the keyboard to go back a bit, and here's where you can use actually the camera speeds of maybe 1 or 2 only, so that you're not moving too fast. So I'm just gonna move it back until you don't see that clipping happening. So I'm gonna refresh this first keyframe to capture that small change that I did. Then I want to zoom in. I'm pressing on my W key on my keyboard to move forward. Now it's a bit too slow. So I want it to end somewhere maybe around here. So I just click on the plus icon again to create the second keyframe. And I can specify the length of the video here. So you can change this to whatever value you want. But I actually want a 10-second video so that it's nice and slow. The movement is nice and slow and cinematic. So let's try it. Try playing the video by clicking on the play icon here. So this one is actually looking perfect. If you're noticing the video, the caustics sometimes glitches, that's because the video is looping. So anytime the video ends, it's gonna start back to the first clip of the water video. So that's why you're seeing that glitching. But in the export, hopefully it's not gonna show. But here, as you can see, it's looking fine. Just a note, when you're creating videos here in Twinmotion, since we created an image, and then from that image we immediately created the video, you'll notice that it captures the properties that we have set for the image. So the cropping is 5000 by 2000. The white balance is 8000 for both of these keyframes. That's why I like creating the image first as a starting point to create the video. But you can always, if you're not happy with these settings, you can still change after the fact that you have created the keyframes. Actually, you can even specify a different white balance for this keyframe, and Twinmotion will interpolate between those two keyframes, so you'll see the scene getting sort of more or less orange as it goes along. Because by the end of this scene, the white balance is set to 6000. But I don't want that. I want it to remain at 8000. So I'll just keep it there. And then finally, to export this video, we go to the export tab. But again, just make sure you save first. In the unlikely event that Twinmotion crashes, you always have you can always go back to where your project is before you hit export. So under the export tab, this time we're not exporting an image, we're exporting the video. But you can also export in the same go if you want. So one image and one video, you can always do that, but again, it will take more time. So this time I'm just gonna use or choose the video. I just need it to be in a frame rate of 30, because this one is not even a fast moving video anyway, so 30 is fine. So I start the export, specify a folder where you want to save it, and then just click on select folder, and it will start the export process. So I'll see you afterwards, after this thing exports. Okay, so the rendering just finished on my machine, and it took around 3 minutes, and that's because I'm using the Lumen rendering style. If I'm using path tracing for this, it's actually gonna take much more, maybe upwards of over an hour just for this 10-second clip. So that's the power of Lumen. So that's why if you plan to use or to create videos for your projects, I suggest you use Lumen because it's much more lightweight than path tracing. So let's take a look at the results. So this is the video we just exported. It came out a bit too orange for my taste. So I'm gonna show the video that I exported before. This one is the first video I created when I was testing the scene. So it's a bit more yellowish, a bit closer to the scene of the movie we're trying to emulate. And actually, I forgot to mention this particular effect, or the light rays coming down from the projector. And to do that, we actually just need to activate, if you select the projector light and scroll down, there's this haze feature that you can activate. So you can lessen the intensity, of course, so that it's not too strong, in just 1%. And the speed also, if you want to lessen. The speed is how much the sort of the thing is, the haze is moving effect, how fast the moving of that effect is. So I think I just use 1 for this particular video that I exported. So you can do the same for those 2 projector lights, just so that it has that haze effect. And if I wanted to fix the color, of course, of the image, I think I can go back to my white balance, bring it down to 7,075. Both keyframes I have to adjust. 7.5. And then the exposure, actually the exposure is okay, but I think the light, maybe the spotlight that we added, we can also change it to something more white, not too orange. So maybe around 4,000. So that's how you can retroactively fix the images or the videos that you create, and then you just do the same steps to export until you're satisfied with the results you're getting. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope you learned something, learned how to create a video, and learned how to use the projector light feature in Twinmotion 2025.1.